And I'm now sharing my screen. I want to welcome you all here today. My name's Jacqueline Gist. I'm a career counselor, career coach at UCS. And I'm going to be talking to you today kind of about our upcoming career fairs and other events that we have that I hope you take part in. A little bit more about who we are and how we can help you. Getting ready to start your first steps. Some tips on how to get ready for the career fair. And we're very, very lucky today that we have Mr. Dupre Foster, who is an officer with the Chesapeake Police Department. He's a recruiter for them. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about what do recruiters look for and how to best market yourself to recruiters. So we hope that we're able to help you today and get you started. Good, we have a nice group here. And like I said, please feel free to ask questions in the chat box at any time. So we first want to make sure that you're aware of all the upcoming events that we have at Career Services. If you go to our website, careers.unc.edu, we have it all posted there. As you can see, we have our workshops and our career fairs. The reason I'm pushing career fairs right now is that they're next week. And we've got, these are fairs that we work 6 months putting together. We, not me, some of my colleagues work to make sure that there are employers coming that you would be interested in talking to and that are anxious to meet you. So we have a part-time job fair coming up on the 14th. If anybody's looking for a part-time job, let me tell you, this is the time. There are so many part-time jobs out there right now. If you just, need money to help pay for college or pocket money. So please make sure you go to that. Our data and analytics career fair is coming up on the 15th, which is a week from tomorrow. And that's open to all majors. You don't have to be a computer science major to go to that, but you do need to have some data science and analytical abilities. Then next Thursday is our big fair, the big career internship fair. And that's from 1 to 5. These are all virtual. A little later on, if you're interested in grad school or law school, we have fairs coming up for that as well. So how do you get ready for the career fair? Well, you plan, you prepare, and you practice, practice, practice. How do you plan? Well, if you go to our site and you click on the fair, and you can look under news and events. Right now, I want to stop sharing this screen and show you something else in case you don't know about it. I want to show you how to see who's coming to the fairs and how to register for it. So I want to go real quickly to Handshake. And this is the student. Excuse me. This is the student side of Handshake. This is what you see. And if you go to this and then you click on events, and then you'll see all of our different events that are coming up, and there are a ton of them. But then if you go to career fairs, you can see each of these individual fairs. So if you were interested in the big fair, the one coming up on the 16th, we'll click on that. If you weren't already registered, I am registered. It would ask you to register. And the registration button's right down here. But you can go down this, and here you can see the instructions for how to use this. And that includes signing up to meet with individual employers, either in a group or in an individual, like 10-minute session. And then if you scroll further down, you can see all the different employers that are coming. There are 73 employers coming to this fair, which I think is amazing. It's also really good for you that we happen to be in a time when I wish that every student on campus had to go to the career fair, but not everybody does, which means there are 73 employers coming and they're going to be anxious to be meeting with people. So go through that list of people and see who you want to talk to. You don't have to say, okay, this is the place I definitely want to work for. This is a time to just be exploring. Think of it as having coffee with somebody instead of marrying them. Okay. So you're going to have coffee with people and get to know and employers and get to know them a little bit more, and then see if you're interested in submitting an application. So please go through that list and register for the fair. I want to go back. So how do you get ready? Well, you make sure that you have a plan. That's the most important thing, right? Is make sure that you get ready, you know who you want to see, you get do some research into them. The last thing you want to do is walk up to an employer and say, "Hey, Officer Dupre, what do you do? You know, tell me about your organization." No, spend some time researching the organization so that you have intelligent questions to ask them when you meet with them. Because this is virtual, and I'm sure you all know this by now, choose your location and try, understand what it's going to look like behind you. Make sure if you have roommates that they're quiet, that the cat's not going to walk on your laptop, or I think we're all kind of past that right now, that you've tested out your equipment, that you understand what employers you're going to go to, and that you review the tutorial that's in Handshake about how to use it, and dress appropriately. Even though this is virtual, it still matters how you look. So dress like you would for a career fair, um, like a button-down shirt, maybe a jacket, a nice blouse or sweater, so that you look like you would look for an interview. Um, I know, and Career Services knows, that clothes for interviewing and clothes for career fairs can get kind of pricey. So we have a program called Styled for Success, and you can see that on our website under funding. We have a program called Styled for Success that helps students who are receiving need-based financial aid get a nice interview suit so that you walk in feeling um, that you're feeling just as that you look just as good as you are prepared. So please take advantage of that. The big thing, as with anything else, is practice. Practice your elevator pitch. Ask thoughtful questions. Take notes. Ask for contact information. Now, what do I mean about asking thoughtful questions? Well, that means that you've researched the organization. If you think you're interested in working for an organization, go to their website, learn about them. You may think that all police departments are the same. They're not. If you're interested in Officer Foster's police department, go to their website, learn about them. What's their mission statement? What are they proud of? Who do they serve? How do they serve them? So that when you go up and you virtually shake his hand, you can say, "I was really excited to see this new community policing initiative you all started last year. Could you tell me more about that? Would this position be involved in that?" Or similar things for any other organization that you're interested in. So the last thing you want to say is, "What do you do?" And then talk about yourself. You might want to prepare a way of talking about yourself for each one of the employers you're interested in talking to. It won't be the same pitch for any one. You want to emphasize the things in your background, internships, campus involvement, volunteer work, part-time jobs, courses you've taken. What about you would interest them? You don't want to stand there and talk to them for 5 minutes straight without a break, but say, I had an internship this past summer where I did da 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 da, which is very similar to what this position asks for. Um, and so they're getting to know you and you're getting to know them. Make sure you take notes and make sure that you get contact information afterwards. One thing you want to be sure of, this is the era of LinkedIn. So when you go through and you highlight the employers who you want to be talking to, make sure that you also go and follow them, connect with them on LinkedIn. And then after the career fair, go in and connect with the individual recruiter who you spoke to. Has that been your experience, Dupre?
Very much so. And all the things you're pointing out, as far as knowing a little bit about them, who you're going to actually talk to. As a recruiter, when I'm at a table or doing virtually, I want to get to know you a little bit. And it's kind of my tactic is I get to know you, kind of what you're interested in, and then I'll talk to you about the department and what we have to actually offer. So I understand who you are first. So a good thing for you is coming, understanding a little bit about that company you're looking at. So that way you don't just show up and say, "Oh, tell me about your opportunities." It shows that you actually have some interest in it. And another thing also that was shared a little bit ago is when you go to the career fair, keep an open mind. And specifically, even if you know exactly what you think you want to do out of college, visit as many career tables virtually as you can. Again, it's for you. It helps you practice with your pitch. It helps you practice asking powerful questions that are important to ask. And it also gives you a feel of opportunities that are out there that you might not actually think of.
I love that point. Very few people end up doing at 30 what they thought they were going to be doing at 18.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
often end up doing something that hadn't even been on their radar screen. Did you always want to be an officer?
I did. Yeah. Since I was 3, I always wanted to be a police officer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
And I went to college, got a bachelor's in criminology and criminal justice from Longwood University in Virginia. And left from there, and within a couple of months of graduating, I actually started the police academy. So I've been an officer since 2009, and I'm the full-time recruiter for the Chesapeake Police Department. I've been doing this for 3 years. This is all I do is help out people with getting jobs within law enforcement. But I do some other things on the side as well as coaching and speaking, things of that nature. So I just love helping people in this atmosphere. You find what kind of career you want to get into. So I'm not here just to get you into our police department.
That's wonderful. That's but most people, things change. But I wonder if when you wanted to be a police officer, that you were envisioning that one day you would be the recruiter and kind of the public relations face too. Was that part of your vision?
So as I got older, yes, absolutely. I started realizing where my skill set is. And that's another thing too. We look at police departments or certain jobs, and we may say there's a particular position that we think we can fulfill and do well in. But once you get in there, you'll start learning other opportunities, and you'll start to see where your skill set is best. So you have unique gifts, skills, talents, and abilities that no one else has, and the perspective that you have. So there's opportunities out there that you may not even thought of yet, but it's going to take some time over obviously going through college, doing these types of things, and getting your foot in the door with some type of career. It doesn't have to be, that one position you get into that you stay there forever. But as I got into the career, I started to learn where my actual skill set was, and that's how I got into the recruiting position.
That's wonderful. So when you talk to people, make sure that you talk about your goals and your skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of to walk you through a pitch, give them your name, your year in school, what your major is, a little bit about what you've done, what you want to do, and make sure those two at least seem to connect, what you've done and what you want to do. And then ask them a question. So some samples of this would be Mary. So she tells her what the degree is. She talks a little bit about things that she's done, resources that she's had, and things that she's been involved with. And then she asks a question. That's a good way to make a pitch. I'd like to turn things over a little bit more. I'm going to stop sharing so we can all have a conversation. Hi, Steph. Hi, Chelsea. I'm glad you could join us. So could you talk a little bit more, Dupre, about when a student approaches you at a career fair or a networking event, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so definitely walk up and introduce yourself. And it's interesting. So I meet with a lot of different people, in law enforcement, anywhere from 20 years of age all the way up to the mid 50s. So it's very vast, different personalities and people I'm dealing with. But first thing when you walk up, be confident, look them in the eyes, whoever's standing there. Virtually, obviously, you'll connect with them, but introduce them, tell them who you are, right? It's kind of like that virtual handshake. Hi, I'm such and such from whatever school. I'm really interested in learn more about your agency, your department, your company, and tell them where your skill set is.
Could you talk a little bit about, since you've been a recruiter for a while, I'm presuming that pre-COVID you did career fairs in person. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between the virtual experience and the in-person experience?
Yes. So the big difference between virtual and in person, I really love the in person because we get to connect with people who may not have thought about connecting to our booth virtually, right? When we're in person. But being virtual is very important, especially you already spoke about your background, your professional dress. It's important because there's no specific person-to-person connection. So it's really a lot of visual, right? We're seeing how you're dressed. We're seeing your background. I don't know who this is here. I can't see a name, but looks like you have a very clear background. Maybe you're against a white wall. Female with glasses on. Thanks for having
All
your
right.
camera on. Love it. Love the engagement. And so just having like a plain background that's not distracting is really, really good because again, you want the focus to be on you and not what's in your background. So those things are very important, how you dress professionally. Now, people will say, at least have a nice top on because you're sitting on a camera. You never know if you might have to step up to grab a piece of paper or a cup of coffee or something. So just make sure you're mindful of those things. And again, like the people around you is very important. When you're talking on camera, and this is something you can do now before you actually do the virtual career fair, is you can use your phone or your computer, record yourself just talking, like giving your pitch, talking to as if you're talking to an employer, and go back and listen to yourself. Think about how fast you speak. Think about things maybe you should add into it. By far, that's one of the best ways to practice, other than standing in front of a mirror. But being in front of your camera is like sitting in front of a digital mirror where you can play it back.
We happen to have an amazing tool with career services called Big Interview. Has anybody used Big Interview? Let me show you a second. Hold on just a minute. Big Interview could be a great way to practice for the career fair. So if you go to our website, can everybody see that? And you look under resources, Big Interviews, the very first thing that you'll see. And you get it for free. You log in with your Onion, and it lets you tell it what kinds of questions you want to be asked. And then it records your answers and you can see them. So that's a great way to practice for a career fair.
Yeah, that's a great resource. Wow.
Yeah, that's really useful. When it comes to questions, officer, what kinds of questions should students be asking?
Yep. So when you think about connecting to a job, like from the recruiter's perspective, we want someone who is going to come in and want to stay there for a little while, right? So always asking questions about, hey, what's the progression like in your company? Those types of things that will implant that seed that, hey, I want to look into your company. It's not just something as a stepping stone, which we understand. Many people get into different jobs as a stepping stone, foot in the door, but you don't want to pitch it as that's what you're doing, right? So ask them about longevity, about the department, about the agency or company you're going for. You can ask them about things such as, the benefits package, retirement, those types of things. When you ask those types of questions, it makes us think as recruiters, hey, this is someone who is thinking about the long term, right? They're mature in their thought about actual career or job, because it's easy to get a job. You can just step in the door and get a job going. But for those who actually look for those longevity types of things, health benefits, those types of things that are there, but also what does it seem like for onboarding? So if I go to start with your company, so what would my first week look like? Right, and see if they can kind of give you an explanation of how things would go for you. Those are questions that really, we want to be able to see you in a position of being in that company or agency. But also, as you ask your questions, they can be formulated to where you're actually sharing things about you, right? The certain questions you ask will actually tell us your thought process as well, if that makes sense.
That's a wonderful answer. And if you're taking resumes from students, rather either virtually or in person, what do you look for in a resume? I think students worry about their resumes more than anything else. What do you look
Yeah,
for when you look at a resume?
it's so interesting. So every company and agency department is kind of different as far as how they look at things. Now, primarily for our city, we have an online application process where they use as the official, work experience record and those types of things. But at career fairs, virtual fairs, and online, I'll get resumes. The main thing we're looking at, when it all depends on what you're looking for. When you're looking for a police department agency, I look for those who have actually served in some kind of capacity in a service manner. And I say it this way: one of the most common questions we'll ask people is, why do you want to become a police officer? And the most generic answer we get is, I like helping people. And that's really nice. So now show me your track record of helping people. Because you don't have to have this specific career, whether it be a police officer or some other job where you help people. So show us somewhere along the lines, what have you already done with some volunteer service? Those things are important to add those things in, especially your college stuff, right? You're in college, so using those experiences, those awards that you have received maybe through college, those things as well. Your degree for certain job, it's very important that you have a specific degree. For law enforcement, it's kind of across the board. There's no specific, you have to have a criminal justice degree. Things like psychology, sociology, journalism, all these different degrees are very important as well. So make sure, no matter what degree you have, that information obviously is listed on your resume. But make sure, I'm sure y'all have shared this out, but the big part, the bulleted items of your work experience, your education, make sure it starts with actionable things that you have actually done, not something as a hypothetical. And while we're on this real quick is, I always tell people when you're doing interviews or when you're being asked about, tell me a little bit about yourself, you want to share about you, not the good things that you think we want to hear. Like, oh, I'm a good time manager, I'm dependable. Like, anyone can say those things, but show us who you are by using examples of how you were good in being dependable and those types of things.
So I would imagine that means that just like with your introduction to each employer, that the resume might be tailored a little bit, the difference between applying to a police department or a bank or consulting firm, right? So maybe not one size fits all.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And make sure that if you're going to a certain job, if you have that summary or the intro part at the top of your resume, make sure it is specific to the job you're going for or generic. Don't give a resume to a company that is actually written towards something else.
Exactly.
I get that pretty often. Yeah. So just look over your things. It's one of the basic things.
So you mentioned experience, and so I'm presuming you're looking for seniors. How would somebody get experience before they're a senior?
Yeah. So to join the police department as a police officer, you have to be at least 20 to apply, 21 to graduate the academy. But experience can be anything from, when we look at our actual ranking structure of applicants, we look at work experience. So whether it be part-time, full-time, related or not, and also volunteer experience counts for that as well. So all of those things will help you. It can be just a campus job as well, like something showing that you have had taken a responsibility more than just having to roll out of bed and go to school and go through your courses, but some type of work experience where you have interacted with people is very important. So customer service. I always ask this question here, and virtually it's kind of hard, but I go to colleges in the area and I speak, used to before COVID. And I would ask the question of, who here has ever worked at, say, McDonald's? And people will kind of get kind of shy, and some people raise their hands. I'm like, be proud of that, because what do you actually learn from working at those places? Dealing with people, customer service skills. So again, it's upon you all to actually look at all of your skills, all of your personal and professional experiences, and pull out the nuggets of that can be beneficial to your success in a career.
Exactly. I always say that I wish everybody waited tables at some point in their life.
Yeah.
One, they would learn how to behave in a restaurant, and two, from a career perspective, retail and waiting tables, customer service. There's so many skills for so many different fields.
Mm-hmm.
And we can help you get those experiences. I'm not just talking about waiting tables and working in restaurants, but the other experiences that you mentioned, officer. We're here to help you find internships, to talk to you about maybe how to look for a good campus organization to help you develop and explore
Mm-hmm.
skills. We certainly, as I said earlier, can help you connect with part-time jobs. And we've got lots of those part-time jobs coming up. There was a question in our chat room. What is your advice for a freshman attending? Most of us might not have a lot of professional experience. Exactly. And this is the time to get that experience, right? That's what the career fair is about, is helping you find the experience. It may not be that your perfect internship is necessarily available to a first year, right? There are some internships where they're limited to juniors or sophomore and
Mm-hmm.
juniors. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to the fair. There are internships that are available to first years, but even more importantly, say you were interested in an organization that only took juniors. You know what? Go meet them in your first year.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, tell them why you're excited about them, tell them you're a first year. And then connect with them on LinkedIn, both the recruiter and the organization, and go the next year. Make sure that after you talk to them, you send a follow-up email about how excited you were to meet with them, what you learned, and that you were excited to learn that they had opportunities for sophomores and juniors, and they could be sure to see you next year and to look for your application. But there's so
Yeah.
much to learn. I think as you're just starting college and you're thinking, well, what's a good internship? What's a good part-time job? What's a good campus involvement? Go to a career fair and talk to employers. And you can
Mm-hmm.
say, someday I really want to work for you, I really want to intern with you. What do you think? You know, or look at their job descriptions and think, okay, I don't have this skill or this experience. How do I go about getting that? And they can come back and see us and we can help you figure out how to get that experience. So I think career fairs for first years are wonderful. And don't presume that there won't be anybody there interested in you, because there very well might be. Are there any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, Lauren.
I've never been to a career fair before, but I was kind of wondering how it would work just in the general structure. Um, like, do you say, I want to go into this breakout room with this business?
I,
And then,
let me
oh,
take you back just a moment, okay? So when we went to, let me get there. So remember when I showed you can you see this now? Can you see the
yes.
screen? So when we went here and we talked about like how to make sure you got registered, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go down here, this will give you all the instructions you need for how to register, how to prepare, how to sign up for either a group or one-on-one sessions ahead of time. So all of the instructions are right there. Did you see how I got to that, Lauren?
Um,
So it's through Handshake. Remember, we went to Handshake and we looked at events, and then we went to the fairs, right? And then this shows you, see if I can get back. And then if you go to the fair, it'll show you the, having trouble with this. See?
It might be.
So you go to the career fair, right? You saw how I got to that?
Yeah.
And then if you scroll down and you click here, then,
Okay.
and if you haven't registered for it, the registration is over on the side. The registration is over on the side. It's hidden by our screen right now. But then you click here and it'll take you to the instructions. Does that,
Okay.
does
Yeah,
that make
thank
clear
you.
now?
Right. Yes.
Okay,
Just
it's the kind of thing that's a little confusing at first, but once you get in there and look, it's really simple. It'll let you sign up for a group session with some employers or individual short sessions with other employers.
okay.
And go
And
in and research the employers first, right? So if you go down here, it'll show you all the employers that are coming.
okay.
And then
And during
you can go in and see, are they looking for just job or for full-time jobs or internships? And this will tell you that, yes, they have internships. And then you can research the company more. That makes sense.
yeah, during the group sessions, I'm a little bit confused about those still. How will everybody get a chance to introduce themselves in the group
Yes,
sessions?
the employers will do that. You can also make sure that you have, you can also make sure that you can sign up for an individual session as well, but the employers are there to meet you. So they're not going to ignore anybody. They're going to make sure that, that everybody gets to talk, but still getting prepared is really important. Doing that research, having your elevator pitch ready. You know what? If you're nervous about that, you can make an appointment and see a counselor and we can help you with it.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That answers my questions.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions? We're a small group. Chelsea, do you have anything to add? You know a lot. We have our career counseling intern is with us today, Chelsea, and she's really, really good. And she was with us last year. Chelsea, do you have anything to add? That put you on the spot? All righty. Are there any other questions? So I think the next most important thing is follow up. You don't want to have these great conversations and make these connections and then just leave them hanging, right? You got to follow up. So make sure that you have the contact information for the employer who you've been speaking with. Connect with them through LinkedIn. And then Dupre, how do you think is the best way for somebody to follow up if they're really interested?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is great, great way to connect and see them because the recruiter can actually see a picture of you. They can see a little bit about your background as well on there. So it saves time for them to actually directly connect with you, like have to call you and talk. They can actually refresh their memory on who you are by seeing your LinkedIn profile. But I would definitely reach out no later than 2 weeks out. But usually the ones who I really remember, if I go to a career fair and usually a day or so later, they email me, say, hey, it was great meeting you the other day. Thanks so much for the information. Again, you want to put it in the ball field for appreciating them and their time. You don't want to reach out to them every single week. Hey, did you review my resume yet? Right? So just say thank you, right? You just become top of mind again. So just send them an email, say, hey, thanks so much for talking with me. I appreciate all the information you gave me. It's very helpful. And you can leave it at that. You can maybe attach your resume to that just as a refresher, just in case they want to look at it. You don't have to say, hey, I'm sending you my resume again, right? But just, again, that information is available to them so they can actually look back at that. Again, the main thing with this is making yourself top of mind. And not many people do that. So, there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of competition out there. but there's not many people who follow through with it. Again, for like doing these things, going to these meetings and learning more. A lot of people don't take advantage of these things. When we talk about career fairs, especially virtually as well, is the recruiters for companies and agencies that are usually at the career fairs, either in person or virtually, are usually the top performers, are ones who are really helpful and like helping people. They want to find the right person for the cultural add to their agency or their company. So they're not going to try to, recruit you because they just need extra numbers. They want to find the right people for the agencies, and they're very helpful, and they want to give you the information you need to be successful. So ask all of those questions.
How would it be if I sometimes tell students, like, make sure you thank the recruiter after you meet with them. But then if the recruiter says, go to our website and apply, then, and you tell them that. But I sometimes suggest that you just drop a short note a week later and say, dear Officer Foster, I just wanted to let you know that per our earlier conversation and at your suggestion, I've submitted my application to the department. And then like leave it at that, but just kind of to follow through and let them know. Would that be stalking, or is that okay?
No, absolutely. I think that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. So you apply, and then a little bit later respond and say, hey, I've already applied. And here's a even better way to do it, right? So adding on to what you just said is after our discussion at the career fair, I was really excited about your position, all the information you gave me. I just want to let you know that because of you, I've already submitted my application online. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Right?
Exactly.
Again, put it back in their ballpark of they are so helpful. You're thanking them for what they're doing. Don't try these tactics on me, okay? Because I know all this now. But no, just put it back in their ballpark. Hey, thanks so much. I've applied. Again, it's putting you top of mind to them. And those are the people who stand out. Now, I have some people who stand out on the other end of things because they call every other day or they email in every week, right? What's my status? Have you looked at, right? Those are the ones where like, okay, like you seemed like someone we could work with, but now you're overbearing.
Yeah, like I
Understand.
wouldn't want you in the office.
Yeah, right. So you don't want to be that person. And just being honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fine line, and I think sometimes, and I always tell students, they didn't lose your application.
Right.
If you're
Yep.
not hearing from them, it's not because they lost your application. And that really part of job and internship hunting is developing a little bit of a thick skin.
Yeah.
All of our students, because you're here, I mean, you're excellent students. You're used to working hard for something, setting a goal and reaching it. That's who you are. That's who Carolina students are. And sometimes in your job and internship search, it might not work that way. You could be really, really well qualified for something, and for whatever reason, you just didn't raise to the top. And that can be hard. That's why I encourage people to apply for don't apply for everything under the sun. Apply for things that you're sincerely interested in, give it your best shot, and then move on. Apply to something else. I would much rather you come to me in April and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have these 4 offers to choose from. Then, whoa, that one thing that I wanted, that I was perfectly well qualified for, I don't know what's wrong with those people, but they didn't hire me. I would rather help you make a choice than help you deal with the disappointment of only applying for one thing. So this is the beauty of a career fair and of Handshake. There are going to be 73 employers who are looking for you. See as many of them as you are reasonably interested in. Even if you're just marginally interested, go learn more. You might find out that you're very interested. Do we have any other questions?
This is prime time, y'all.
You have both of us here. Well, you have my email address. Well, will you be at the career fair?
No, I'm not going to be able to participate in this one.
I'm sorry, but we do have your contact information. So if anybody would like to reach out to Officer Dupre, please feel free to. I have his contact
Yes, absolutely.
information. And there are great careers in law enforcement. You know,
There
particularly
are.
now, law enforcement's evolving. There's community policing, there's community relations. It's really, it's really about helping communities to grow and thrive. And so I would encourage people to look at those careers. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you everybody for coming. Please feel free to reach out at Career Services. We can help you from figuring out what you want to do to going and doing it and everything in between. We're here. And make sure you take advantage of all the great fairs and workshops we have coming up this month. We are busy. Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking time out to come here today, Dupre.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for
See you
having
in
me.
person one day.
Yes, absolutely. Best wishes to everyone. I'm on LinkedIn as well, so you all can find me on there. But you're welcome to definitely share my contact info. I'll be glad to assist anyone I can. So,
Thank you.
all right, take care.
Bye.